All right, we are back for another fresh brewed episode of Lattes and Lasers. I can't believe it. We made it to our second episode, Amy.
Whoop whoop. I'm so excited we did it. And I think the quality audio video is going to be better this time.
Yeah.
But you'll have to let us know, folks.
Yeah.
Like we said last week, we're not experts.
Yeah.
How did you it out?
How did you feel about last week's episode? I know we aren't actually we're recording this the day before the first one actually launches. So we haven't heard from anybody what they think yet.
So we're hoping it's positive.
We could be going into this blindly and like, yeah, it was great. And everybody's like, Jesus, that sucked. That really sucked.
Are bad. I mean, we announced the podcast to friends, family, or networks yesterday. People seem pretty excited for us. So I'm excited.
Well,
I think it's
and
gonna be good.
And no one thinks we're funnier than we are. So of course.
Right. It's true. So, but we're awesome.
Yeah. I will say one improvement is that I think our appearances are a little bit more presentable. There's nothing worse than
this is called a work from home problem.
Yeah, I think I looked at myself and I went, oh, you need to do something with your hair because because we're doing the virtual backgrounds and we are still trying to figure out how this video thing works. And you can see we cut out a little bit when we do certain things. Well, because of that, we both had our hair pulled back in top knots. Plus you had the headphones. It looked like we were like those Robert Palmer girls, addicted to love with the hair slicked back, although not as cute. But, and I thought, I don't think I can do that. I have to make sure my hair is actually done this time. So I did take the time to do that, made myself a little bit more presentable. So apologies.
You always look lovely, Holly.
Well, sometimes it's not the case. So
but I think that's a fair thing. Maybe we should talk about a little bit is when you are self-employed and you're a creative and you're working from home.
Yeah.
Like it's not like we're doing lots and lots of video calls. And even then you throw on a sweater or a top and I mean, it's what everybody has dealt with during the pandemic working from home. Like even when I was working full time outside the home, I was still inside the home because I was working from home and I had my setup. But I would say on a daily basis, I am wearing some kind of comfy pants, like sweats, leggings, shorts, pajamas, whatever, something comfy. Cause I'm either sitting here on my computer designing or, contacting clients, whatever, or I'm at my work table and I am painting and gluing and staining and, I'm not going to dress nice because I'm going to end up with stuff like, even some of my nicer leggings have CA glue or stain or paint stains. And I'm I'm going to keep wearing this because I love these leggings.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. And it was funny when we were trying to figure out what day we wanted to record, and I was like, I do have another Zoom call in the evening. So if I look a little nice for this one, I'll look nice for that one. And it would just be the one day I have to really worry about looking nice versus two.
Hey, I get it, man. Think, it's not like anybody's seeing me, right? So who cares? But I did put part of our logo on my shirt today.
I do like it. Yeah, we have like a link on our website for merch stuff that we've just kind of thrown up there, and none of us have bought any of it yet. So we're just like, it's there, but hopefully people, maybe they want a coffee cup. I don't know. Anyway, if you buy something, it kind of helps us at least pay for this. I don't think people realize how much goes into a podcast. Like you think it's free, but
no, it's not.
It's not free.
I mean, it's the headphones, the mics. I mean,
can we just appreciate this that you cannot even see on camera? Look at the blings.
We blinked out our mics and you can't even see them.
Yeah. Oh well.
But that was maybe not a necessary business expense. But no. I think that's a good point. It's the website hosting, the domain name, the music that we got for their intro, outro, the illustration of us, which Holly did have to tweak, but it looks awesome. It's up on our website, and then just the distribution and hosting of the actual like audio files
Yeah.
isn't free. It's not expensive, but it's not free.
Right.
So, our goal is to break even.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So anytime you want to like head over to our website and buy us a cup of coffee, it helps get towards it, which is nice. So yeah,
appreciate it.
and again, just to clarify, we're recording this episode before the first one actually launches tomorrow, and we have let some people know. I did want to say we're recording this not knowing everybody's gonna like this or not. So if if you listen to the first one, you're like, please give our second one a chance.
Right. Please.
Please, please, please. Yeah.
Please. More. More.
Yeah.
Like what my toddler would say, Mama, more. More.
Yeah. Give us a chance. Give us a chance. We're not perfect. We don't know what we're doing, and we just hope to get better. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And, if you have ideas for segments or a story you want us to read and get feedback, give our feedback on, or get our listeners' feedback on, shoot us a message.
Yeah. Yeah. Please do. Please
We
do.
want that interaction. All right. So, Holly,
Yeah.
what are we drinking this week? It's time to talk about what is in our cup.
Yes. So, as we had mentioned in our first episode, we wanted to feature coffees that were either funny names, a good story, a good cause, anything like that. And of course, because we don't take life too seriously, the funny name thing hit us this first round. And I found this coffee online from Ravens Brew Coffee. It's called Three-Peckered Billy Goat.
Oh,
Oh.
come on. Our
Well,
listeners aren't going to see this, but we'll
yeah,
put a link to the coffee in the show notes. But you can kind of see, you know what? It's not working. We'll put a link in the show notes, but the
yeah.
packaging is hilarious.
Yeah, they're all of their packaging, the illustrations are pretty amazing. And this one is the slogan on it says, "Sup from the cup that keeps you up." It is a dark roast, very low acidity, which is good
Mm-hmm.
for me. Like I can deal with a lot of acidity. It says it has a fairly high caffeine count on it, which is kind of nice. So
I'll take it.
this is what's funny. If you go to their website, they have a little bit of information here that says, "Got go, get it." Crudely named, but aptly famed. This is one of our three most popular selections of professional baristas, or by professional baristas. It says, "A brew that is too placid that may leave a Billy flaccid, but three willies on a Billy, is that too many for a nanny? If not, then your Billy should sup from the cup that keeps him up. So fill his cup or apply as a lotion and enjoy his three-stroke motion."
Oh no.
So we went a little crude, but that's okay. It has a little bit of like a nutty, chocolatey kind of caramel note to it. Again,
Yeah.
we are not coffee experts. We do not know much about that. It has very high reviews. Everybody really likes it. And I will say, as I'm drinking it, I've just added a little bit of creamer to mine. I didn't put anything else in it. It's not real strong to me. It tastes really good. So,
Yeah. So I like it. I'm drinking it black.
yeah.
I did try it a couple days ago because so okay. I we bought this coffee like a few weeks ago. And so I've had it sitting up on my work table on top of my stack of Thule markers. And the other day when I was working on an order, um, I bumped my table and the package of coffee came flying down and it got impaled on my bottle of CA glue, which is a very strong glue for those of you who don't know. Um, and I buy this glue in bulk, like a 50-ounce bottle, and then I buy small bottles and I like these syringe tips
Hmm.
because I get a really fine point and I feel like I get a much better application with that control. So it's basically a syringe and it just got impaled and the coffee started to go places.
Oh
Um,
no.
I put some packaging tape around it, but I'm still finding bits of coffee all over the place. So I probably
Oh.
need to like move it to something to keep it fresher. But I impaled my three-peckered Billy Goat
I hate that.
glue. And I was a little bit concerned because like it's not like that is like a safe to ingest kind of glue.
No, yeah, but it dries fairly quick, so maybe
It
you
does.
aren't really, probably finding more clumps than you are
Well, it's not like glue like squirted up
in it. Yeah.
in it, but I'm
That's,
still like there's traces of glue in the
yeah.
coffee. But it's fine. I'm sure I've ingested worse.
Just a quick note here. It is a an Alaskan origin
Mhm.
heritage coffee, which has like a really great story. So I encourage you to go to their website and definitely read it because their story is good. Their coffee names are funny. There's some called Dead Man's Reach. Um, there's Double Dead. I mean, they just have a lot of different really cool ones, and their labels are really cool too. So there's a bunch of them I'd love to try. Okay, I just want to say, drinking coffee, I normally only drink a cup in the morning, and then I come down and work, and then I don't usually go back up and get a cup because I'm just enthralled with what I'm doing. And then it's lunchtime, and then I might get a cup in the afternoon when I'm making like an iced coffee from my leftover brew. So last week when we recorded, was my second cup of coffee. So two coffees in the morning. Things happened. It was very it was an experience. I don't know if it was because the day was just so full of just stuff and people trying to pull me in different ways, or if it was the coffee. Because let me just tell you, I was things happened. I was wired. It was crazy. It brought me back to a time when I was in college. Now I'm 50, so that was like 30 something years ago. But and I'm sure my friend can attest to this. It was me, she and myself and our roommate were in the same literature class and we were studying for either a test or a final. I don't know what it was. And we were brewing pots of coffee and we drank so much coffee to do this. Our stomachs hurt so much. And we
Oh,
we got up and we took that test and we're like, I gotta go home now. It's super miserable.
the
Man.
digestive distress.
And it's funny because like I used to when I worked in an office drink coffee all day long and it wasn't an issue. And then when you don't do it and then you do it, just the two cups, I'm telling you, things happened. It was like a mind trip.
I
Yeah.
am highly caffeinated the majority of the day
Yeah.
to the point where the other day, I took the toddler to the Y for open swim late
Mhm.
afternoon. We grabbed some dinner on the way home. And then I was like, you know what? It may be 6:30, but I'm gonna get a coffee on the way.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like
Yeah.
I can drink a cup of coffee like on a Sunday morning and go right back to sleep and that's not a big deal.
Hmm.
It's just when I've had multiples in a row, I think that I start just like I know.
I love it. I love it.
Anyway.
Well,
Anyway,
if you have an idea for a coffee we should try or a coffee drink we should make, go to our website, lattesandlasers.com, click on contact, let us know what you think. But you can also click on support and buy us a coffee.
absolutely. It helps. Definitely helps us offset some of the costs, which aren't a lot, but enough to just help it make it
Mhm.
a little better for you.
Exactly.
We've already had three people who have bought us a cup of coffee, which is great. We're so appreciative of their help. And like Amy said, we had announced it to our friends and family yesterday that this podcast was happening. If anybody felt so inclined to donate to our Buy a Cup of Coffee on the website, that they could. And we have three. Shout out to Michelle, Heather, and Jean. We want to thank you so
Thank you, thank
much.
you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for buying us some coffee. So yeah, it really helps. And I'm just super appreciative. And what's funny is I don't think any of those three are really are they in the maker world like us? They're just
Mm-mm.
cool people who wanted to help us out. So
Yep,
we super appreciate it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into our main topic for the week. And it kind
Okay.
of is twofold, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about customers and customer relations, reviews on Etsy, and some of that kind of stuff. One of the things that we run into as laser business owners, um, are those reviews on Etsy or Facebook or Fair or any of the different sites where you're selling something, right? But also like weird customer comments or requests or like exchanges, right?
Well, and I think because you and I talk about these situations every time they happen, we screenshot and we send to each other and go, like, what the F? And I think this is something we can turn into a regular series on our
Oh,
podcast.
absolutely. Like, what the Etsy review is that?
Yeah, people are weird. People are weird. But you know what? I do want to say before we do jump into that is that like Etsy has been a really great place for me.
Absolutely.
People complain about Etsy, and I think the only reason they complain is probably because they're not in compliance with things for the most part.
Absolutely.
But if you know how to work it and use it, it's going to drive traffic to you. And I cannot say the same for my own website versus Etsy. Like it's just
Oh,
a different, yeah, it's a different
well,
traffic.
for one of the things that I have found, and now you and I have both been on Etsy for over
Years.
a decade, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I first opened an Etsy shop in like 2008.
yeah.
And I remember like maybe 15 months ago, I got super excited because I finally hit 600 sales,
Mhm.
right? Well, now I'm at like 4,300.
Yeah,
And I think what people don't understand about Etsy, yes, you're paying a lot in fees, but they are exposing your products and your business to people you would never reach
right,
on
right.
your Facebook, on your website. And so it's as much as it sucks to see how much is going away from your sales in those fees, wouldn't have any of those sales if it weren't
No,
for Etsy,
I
right?
agree. I agree. Yeah. So I do like to always shout out the positive. Is it perfect? No. This new announcement that they like hyped us up for about, oh, we're gonna be on the Super Bowl. Oh, and there's gift mode. Like it doesn't really help us as much. I don't think there are features I think we need that they're not really tapping into. But I thought, you know what, let's give Etsy a positive before we go
Absolutely.
into the negative.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And, we do want to just say that we love our customers.
Yeah.
We would not be able to do what we're doing if it weren't for them. And we don't want to upset anyone. We're not going to like call anyone out specifically by name or anything identifiable, but we just want to have a discussion about some of these situations we've dealt with. Because I don't
Well,
think people understand or realize some of the conversations we have with people or what happens and the impact of a review or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's almost like they treat Etsy a little bit like Amazon and it's weird. It's weird. Some of the things I can't even explain. Like there's not usually one that comes through that I'm just like I never saw that coming. You know, I mean like that
Right.
just I never saw that one coming. But now here's the thing. I will take a lot of the reviews that I get and try to improve my listings so that I cover the bases on things.
Absolutely.
But one thing is for certain is that customers just uh, guilty as charged, don't
Yes.
always read the whole thing. Like I have ordered something and the size is like when I thought it was like and so that's my fault. So
Right.
I think
There's
that's
some UX issues and
yeah,
the descriptions of the listings are collapsed so you don't see it right away.
right, right.
But yeah, I agree. A lot of things I then take, okay, I need to update my terms and conditions, or
Yeah,
I need to add some more information to my
yeah.
listing to make it clear that this is how I do this process or this
Exactly.
product. I'm different than other sellers.
Exactly. Yeah, so you know, we thought about the best way to talk about all of this and make sure that we can share these honest things that have actually happened without really revealing too much. So, but you know, before we do this, definitely consider sharing your stories with us. We'll tell you how when we're done, but I think that this is something we can all relate to. It happens a lot more than you think. The bigger your business grows, the more you see these weird, awkward things. So yeah, why don't you, why don't you tell us about some of your
Okay.
latest?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I posted about one of my most recent weird reviews in a couple of different maker forums. Because I was actually a little bit speechless. So I was like, I don't even I don't get speechless a lot. So that's saying something. For those of you on audio, you're not going to be able to see it, but in the video recording of this, we're going to pull up part of the screenshots of some of these reviews
Yeah.
so you can
We're
see
going
them.
to protect the customers. We're going to remove a
Absolutely.
few
We'll
things.
blur things that you
Yeah.
can't see. Okay. So I got this review recently. It was probably a month after the order had been received. It was a Christmas gift. Okay. Comment. Super cute for a teacher gift. 5 stars for item quality. 5 stars for shipping. Recommends this item. Check mark. 1 of 5 stars.
And I think you get those more than I get them. This happens to you more, but you're not the only one because I do have friends who tell me the same thing. They'll get a really low rating, but the comment is super positive.
I am going with believing in the best of intentions, right? I don't think that this review was intentionally a 1 star. I believe it was probably an accident. But what happens in that overall rating is that impacts then your overall rating on Etsy. And now again, this 1 of 5 is not going to seriously impact my business or visibility on Etsy. I have well over 1,000 reviews, and most of them all but less than 10 are 5s, right?
Right.
But that can impact my star seller status if my volume over the next quarter doesn't accommodate that 1 of 5, and that could make me lose star status for a month.
Well, and that just takes me to the point of I hate seller status. It's one of the worst things Etsy did because what it does is it preys on the anxiety of Etsy sellers. Because now we're so focused on getting this high rating so that we can get star seller status instead star seller status, seller status, trying to get it to like that point where it looks good. Now, especially if you're newer and it happens, it's even scarier to you.
Absolutely.
And you're not able to focus on like creating new product and the marketing of it and the doing the things because you just get hyper fixated. Now, maybe not everybody does that. Maybe not everybody has anxiety like I have anxiety. But do you know what I mean?
We'll talk about some of that next week.
Yeah. So I think it's a hard thing. I don't know that it was really a great program.
It adds a little badge on your listing. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it causes anxiety because what happens too, if you sell a product on Etsy to someone local, Star Seller rewards tracking information for shipping purposes. But if you have someone doing a local pickup or drop off, which I've had a handful, I can go in and say local pickup and it makes it look like it's tracked, but it's not. So then I get a demerit in my star seller. And I went through this whole thing on Etsy with support and I said, I am not actively trying to subvert Etsy. If a sale or communication comes to me through Etsy, I process the order through Etsy. I follow all the terms and conditions. But I would love to be able to keep all of my order management in Etsy.
Yeah.
And I would love to be able to push orders that come through via email or Facebook into Etsy.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be a local pickup, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to keep those sales outside of Etsy.
Yeah.
It's not a huge volume, but again, it's one of those annoying things.
It really is. But yeah, the whole review thing. Ooh.
Do you have any good ones?
So I have had a couple where that same situation has happened, and I will message them.
Yeah.
And ask them, hey,
I did that.
Love for you to let us know what we could have done to get 5 stars versus the 4, because there was nothing in the actual message of the review that helped me understand what I could do better. And those people always ghost you. They never respond. Never. And so you just have to chalk it up for what it is and move on. And like I said, we've done this long enough that we don't let it bother us so much, but we will talk about it with each other.
Oh, 100%. I mean, and then there's the ones that are like a 4-star review and they'll say customer service was excellent. the seller exceeded my expectations, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, what would it take to get a 5?
Yeah, yeah. I did have a situation, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this and share the actual post here.
Yes.
Because I don't really call this person out, but this was one that really floored me. I have, so last year I was selling ornaments, the shaker ornaments, where you can
Yes.
customize the pieces inside. And I had two sizes. So determining on how many pieces you put inside would verify, like, oh, I might need a large for this. If not, you're not going to get any movement. What's the point of a shaker ornament if you don't have any movement? And but I offered different shapes for the inside. Like you could get
Yeah.
a dog paw print with angel wings, which is going to take up a little more space.
Mm-hmm.
You could also get a dog bone, which is going to take a little less space. You could get a little person that takes a little less space versus a snowflake that might take up a little more space. So there are variations in that. And I'm of the type of person that if I'm unsure, I'm going to reach out to the seller first and say, what would you recommend if I wanted all of these for this? I feel like I'm on the cusp of between small and large, what I need. So anyways, a customer ordered something, and I have to always assume the customer has either read my description, which we know they don't, um, or they're going to reach out to me, or they know what they're doing. They know what they want,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I had a customer order an ornament, and she ordered a large, and nothing about her ornament when I put it together made me think, oh, this would be better in a small. It wasn't like she ordered like three pieces where it would look better in a small. She ordered, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven pieces in it. So, you
That's a
know,
lot.
it could have fit in a small, but it would have been really tight. And so, not like I said, nothing about it made me think, oh, you're better off with a small. Anyways, my review, I got 4 stars out of 5. She said, I would suggest asking what size that they would suggest given the amount of name and charms going on before we order them. And I was like, okay, it's Christmas. I'm busy. You're mad because I didn't reach out to you and say, are you sure you want that size? Like I said, they had ordered like an ornament with like 3 pieces and it was really big and there wasn't a whole lot of movement. I might have done that,
Right.
Never did they reach out to me to ask me, should I go for a small instead of a large? I would have been glad to do it. And a lot of times, sometimes when we're not quite sure, I say, just get the small. I'll make some adjustments to the sizes of the pieces so they fit fine. Not
Yeah.
a big deal. That's the thing about Etsy. I want everybody to know if you're new here and you're not selling on Etsy, reach out to us. We're real people.
Absolutely.
We're not
Absolutely.
Walmart. We're not Amazon. We're
I
real people.
And I love when people reach out before they
Yes.
order. And
Yeah.
I don't find it, people will say, I'm so sorry to bother you. No, you're not bothering me. This is my business. If it's outside of my business hours, they get an automatic response and then I respond to them the next day.
Yeah.
But I would rather you contact me ahead of time so that I can tell you which options to select in my opinion based
Yes.
on what you're telling me, or I can make a custom listing for you
Right.
because maybe what you're asking for isn't going to work out of the box.
Right.
But like you said, I can make some tweaks. And you know what? It may just be easier for me to make a custom listing or add an additional option to this listing that I didn't have previously.
Right.
And
Well,
so I
and
may not have a picture of it, but you're going to know because we had this conversation what I
right.
said.
I get that a lot with my other shop where people want color swaps, and I always say,
Yeah,
ask me first to make sure I can accommodate it, and then just buy one of the things and just put in the note that we had a conversation about that.
absolutely.
But going back to the ornament, it's Christmas time. It's busy. I'm doing a lot of these. If I had to stop and message every single customer, be like, "Are you sure you want that size? Are you sure you want that?" And we know they're going to ghost us and not talk to us, and then your whole order queue production is off. Your
Hmm.
shipping is late. It was just kind of a weird, absurd question. And I sent her a message and I felt really bad because she did a lot of this to memorialize a pet too that had
Oh,
passed away. And I have such a soft spot for dogs and everything. And I did say, I'm really, really sorry about that. I just wanted you to understand that I just have to assume my customers know what they want. and if not, to reach out to me before making the purchase. And I'm really sorry that you felt like it was could have been smaller. I just want you to know that it probably would have not had a lot of movement in it, and it didn't trigger me to think, oh, I should see what you would like. So I try to give the customer the
Yeah.
benefit there and let them know all that stuff, but she never said a word back to me. So I just feel like, well, you get what you give, you know?
Mhm.
And so I just said what I had to say. Some people would be inclined to go out, let me give you a little bit of a refund. Don't do that.
No.
I remember an Etsy coach talking about that one, saying you do not have to offer a refund on anything that you sell on Etsy unless it's like totally broken and you can't replace it or something like
Mhm.
that. But if they're unhappy, don't automatically think, oh, here, let me give you a 10% discount. Just don't do that because you're trying to make payments and bills and do all the things you got to do. And if you keep doing that out of inclination because you feel awful, you're not going to get anywhere. So you just have to just be like firm in your stuff, see where
Mhm.
the conversation goes. Like I said, they never reached out to me. They never responded to me. It was a weird. I'm like, well, I'm okay. But I look at reviews like that and I think if I'm going to be buying something, that's not going to deter me from buying from
No.
that seller, you know?
Not at all. Well, and then I know I had a customer interaction a while back where I want to say it was almost 30 days after their purchase or the item was delivered. It was a
Right.
significant amount of time. They were like, I never got it. Give me my money back. And I was like, no, okay, that's
Yeah.
hold on. I go into the
Tracking
postage
info. Yeah.
tracking. It shows it was delivered. It gives me a specific time and address. This is the address you put into Etsy. Everything from the post office is telling me it was delivered this day at this time. Now, we all know that we're all human. Our postal workers are doing a lot. Sometimes it gets delivered to the wrong house.
Yeah.
There's always the porch pirates too, right?
All right.
But everything that I'm seeing is showing that this item was marked as delivered. It didn't get lost in the mail. Um, Everything looks good on my end. So I said I would recommend you contact your post office, file a ticket, and then if that doesn't work, you can file a ticket with Etsy. They have the buyer protection up to 250 bucks. And, we can go that route because like you said, I did consider like, should I remake it? And I was like, no, it didn't get lost in the mail.
No.
That's taking a significant amount of money then out of my pocket. If I remake this custom item, it wasn't like a generic item.
Right.
Um, and so I tell the customer I would recommend doing that. That's about all I can do on my end because it shows as delivered.
Right.
So then the person did file a ticket with Etsy. But again, it was so long after the purchase.
Mm.
And I remember seeing one notification pop up that I had like a ticket. But by the time I logged into Etsy, they had closed the ticket because
So
the person was asking for a refund from me, but everything tied to that purchase order said it was delivered. So Etsy was like, no, you're not getting a
yeah.
refund. And
Yeah.
so then that person left me a really bad review, complained, said I had to file an inquisition and I never got it, no refund. And they left that review literally an hour after their initial message to me on Etsy. An
Yeah.
hour. And I was like, you didn't even give me time to respond.
Yeah. I've had a situation like that too. And you do think it has to either be scammy or somebody stole their package.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, that happens a lot. And I was shocked that Etsy didn't want to take down that review because I was able to get mine removed. And I don't know if they have to mention something about the
They
postal. I
do.
don't know, but they did in yours. And they mentioned I had to file an inquisition with UPS,
Because the
or not
Spanish
UPS.
Inquisition, like
Yeah.
I had to file an inquisition.
I must have filed an inquisition. So I'm really surprised that they didn't remove that because
Mhm.
that's a part of the star seller program. And you're
Exactly.
supposed to be protected, and they're supposed to be able to remove those that if they're unfair, which kind of brings me to the point of Etsy reviews. Like, I feel like those need to be revamped. The system needs to be revamped. It needs to be like a thumbs up, thumbs down or something versus a 1 star versus a 2, 3, 4, 5 star, something that makes it where you can't be wishy-washy. Like, you have to either say, got my item, yes, or
Right.
was your item intact and everything great? Yes. So I definitely think the star review program needs to be revamped in some way. I just think it just leads people into anxiety spirals of I'm not getting high reviews, and you and I know that sometimes those reviews don't make any sense. It'd be one thing if like you were just a horrible seller and you're just constantly getting 1 stars because your stuff is horrible or your
Right.
whole service is horrible. But in the majority of us, that's not the case. And so I feel like, especially a new seller, when you're trying to get reviews, because they tell you reviews help the algorithm, that stupid Etsy algorithm, they help you get seen more. And so you want good reviews to
Hmm.
help you get seen more, but then you get that one and you've only had, say, 10 total and one bad one. Just it can't get buried like when you have,
As many
5,000.
as we do. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I get where that can be very upsetting and frustrating to a new seller.
Yeah.
Whereas us, it's just more of a, did you see this review? Like that's what we do. We're
Right.
just,
Well, we screenshot and we text each other and we're like,
yeah,
God,
yeah.
man.
We just like to be like, look at this. This is
Well, and
insane.
sometimes though, like with those different interactions we have, whether it's email or messaging from a customer on Etsy, they're having problems with their order.
Right.
You know, it's sometimes you just can't help but laugh.
Yeah.
And it's par for the course as a
Yeah.
business owner. You
Yeah.
know,
It
you
really is.
especially when you're a small shop, you don't have a dedicated team doing all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I will say one of the things that I would love to see on Etsy reviews is the ability, like when I, as a buyer, am logged into Etsy and it has in my notifications, leave a review for this. There are times where I'm like, I don't want to leave a review
No.
because I
I'm
know the implications of the review and maybe it's not worth my time. And I would love to be able
I
to
and
say,
I
I don't want to leave a review. And then
yeah.
it gets cleared out of my
I
notifications.
agree. Like I'm the type of person that I just won't leave a bad review. Unless it's Amazon, but I won't
Yeah.
leave a bad review on Etsy. That's why I treat them differently, right? Like these are
Yeah.
people, individual people who are just trying to make a buck. I bought laser files on there, and I'm all like, "Ugh, I gotta redo this whole file." But that's also the control freak in me.
Yes.
However, I have done it where I'm like, this would make more sense this way, and I just don't want to leave a review. I just
Yep.
don't.
That's happened to me too. And with files from some of the more popular laser file designers too. I'm
Yeah,
like, well, and that may work for a lot of people, but for me, I'm going to make this tweak or this tweak.
yeah.
I did one time with a file that I purchased. Um, I was like, this isn't even like the mock-up they showed. It was a digital mock-up. So they didn't actually make the
Uh,
product. They did a rendering of the finished
yeah,
product.
yeah,
And that rendering of the product did not match up with the file I was given.
yeah,
Like it was missing some of the layers. And I was like, well, that
yeah,
that doesn't make sense. So I did reach out
yeah,
to the, seller and I did, but I never left a review on Etsy. I just
yeah.
said
I
this
just won't.
and she did end up refunding my money. I mean, it was $6, but I just kind of was like, hey, just so you know, your rendering does not
Yeah.
match. So pro tip, you may want to actually make the file before you
Well, right.
sell
And see,
it.
like when I first started selling files when I got my Glowforge, however many years back, That's all I did was sell files. I wasn't really making things to sell. And I would do a lot of mock-ups, but that was the only way I could like crank out files.
Right.
And so since then I have, I do better, which is why I don't put out nearly as many because I don't have
Yeah.
time to make things and photograph them and all that jazz. But it makes a difference when you do because then you can actually see how to improve something. And I've gone back and I've improved a few of my older files that way.
Yeah.
But it is, yeah, that's like a whole thing. We could probably do a whole discussion on laser file making and selling. Or
Well,
buying that whole world. But yeah,
absolutely.
but it goes back to I'm not going to leave somebody a bad review. I'm just not. I will on Amazon happily leave a bad review, but I'm not going to do it on Etsy. I'm just not. But you're right. I want to be able to let me clear out those notifications. Nothing annoys me more than that little red dot or bell or whatever the heck it is up
Right.
there. I hate that.
Or can you cut, like, let's say I bought 12 different stickers from a sticker maker,
Hmm.
right? I
And you
don't
got to
want
do
to leave
one.
12 reviews. I really don't. I don't want to leave
No,
12.
no.
So can I leave one
Yeah,
and then just close out the rest?
yeah,
Right? Like, got a bunch. They're awesome. Great. Thanks.
yeah. And the only time I think it would be beneficial is if one was really bad. But in most cases, it's not like I've bought multiple files from one seller and I have to go into each. I just copy and paste everything. It looks copied and pasted. I don't care.
Mhm.
And people have done that to me when they say
Absolutely.
they buy like 6 sets of tokens for their reward jars and it's the same review for each of them. I know what they're
That's
doing.
fine.
And I know
I
that's
get
what they're
it.
doing.
I
They're
would
doing
do the
this.
same.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing I would do. So I do think the whole review system program on Etsy needs a revamp. But I also think we should be able to review sellers at times or buyers at times. I don't know
Yes,
how.
the reciprocity of reviews. Can't you do that on like eBay? Don't you leave a review
Oh yeah.
back, right?
I yeah.
I
I
haven't used eBay in over a decade.
I have I bought a couple of dolls on there and I do think they can rate you as well. It's
Well,
like
and
Uber. It's like Uber or
right,
Lyft. They can rate
it's
you.
the mutual review on Mercari. You can't get your money until you review the buyer. And you
Correct.
can check like communication, fast payment, whatever. Um, and I don't know that I want to be able to review every buyer because, as we've said, we have
No.
very busy Etsy shops,
Yeah.
and that could be a
Yeah.
job in and of itself. But if we were to have the ability, because sometimes you get a customer who is just the sweetest, the
Yeah.
absolute sweetest, and they are so lovely to work with, especially on like a custom one of a kind item. And if I could give them a positive review, like, hey, if this person comes to you and they want to buy a higher end custom item, do it. Like, they are awesome. They are responsive. They give good feedback.
So fair is the same way. So fair is a wholesale marketplace if you're not familiar with that. But fair, when I have to print their shipping label to ship out their items, there is right underneath that as I hit the print button before I close out the thing, it lets me hit the 5 star. It doesn't, I don't have to write anything. I can hit a star and then that's it, which is nice. And so maybe that's something that would be
Yeah.
beneficial. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer
I'd say
is.
we would love to be part of a focus group.
Yeah. I
I,
answer every one of those surveys that come out, those big ones that they
Same
say,
here.
like, let me tell you, like, I don't like your new interface. I always switch back to the old one when I'm uploading a product. I hate that new stuff. Like with a passion, I hate it. So I always switch it. But yeah, I do think we could be what they're looking for.
We'd love to call
Maybe, maybe
us.
not.
If you want to
Yeah.
sponsor the
Yep.
podcast, also we'll take that. So hey, friends, if do you have a customer interaction or review you'd like to share with us? Maybe we'll read it in a future episode. Maybe we'll make a regular segment about this, like, what in the Etsy is this?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go back to the podcast AI generator and come up with an idea for the name of a segment. Willing to share things anonymously to protect you and your customers. So head over to our website, lattesandlasers.com. Click on contact to share your thoughts or some of your crazy reviews.
Yeah, and you can remain anonymous, which is something I'm sure some people would prefer.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
I do think this could be a regular series. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. I think that pretty much covers what we were going to talk about today with Etsy and some of the things going on in our world. Um, Again, I know last time we were trying to figure out when we were going to do episodes. I think we're settled on Wednesdays, and we'll probably
Yep.
do like 10 to 12 episodes this season. Somewhere around, I don't know. We got to figure that out.
Yeah.
But we're still making it better.
Every week is going to get better. So we appreciate you sticking with us.
Yeah. And so next week we discussed the idea of talking about mental health with regards to being a business owner, obviously in a lighthearted way because we don't want to be like Debbie Downers in any way,
Right.
but I think it definitely affects us both. And I'm sure a lot of people out there have issues that can relate to those types of
Right.
discussions. So that's
The
what we are.
anxiety, the stress, the am I going to make enough money to pay my mortgage? All of
Yes.
that. So
Yeah.
that'll be one of our topics for next week. If you have
Yep.
something, an idea, a comment in that area, again, shoot us an email, send us a message. We'd love to include it. Hit us up, Lattes and Lasers, on all the socials. Subscribe, like, share,
Yeah.
help us get our podcast out there. And thanks for listening to all of our
Yeah.
craziness.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
agree. Yeah.
All right. Until next time, I hope you stay caffeinated
Yes.
and sane. We'll figure out a good way to close this
We need
holiday.
yeah, we need a sign off for sure. Stay
Yeah.
caffeinated, stay crazy. I don't know, something silly. Yeah.
May your caffeine foster your creativity.
Oh, I like
No,
that. That's deep. It's deep.
that's not lighthearted.
We need like motivational posters. Those could be with it.
Yeah. Well, like I have like this sticker I bought on Etsy.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about this. I'll send you guys a link to where you can buy this Take Your Meds sticker next week when we talk about mental health as a small business.
Oh
Oh, sorry.
God.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right.
thank you all. Insert catchy closing here.